Hi everyone, Dr. Hatami is here. In this short video, let's talk about the structure and function of the ovaries. Ovaries are the primary sex organs. Primary sex organs of the female reproductive system. Why do we call them primary organs? Because they are responsible to produce the eggs, also called ova or oocytes, through a process is called oogenesis. They also act as endocrine organs because they produce the sex hormones like estrogen and progesterone. The ovaries are located inside of the pelvic cavity. So here, this egg-shaped structure is the ovary, and it would be found on either side of the uterus. So here, that is the uterus, and then very close to the uterine tube. And look at this tube coming from the uterus and going very, very close to the ovary. But it doesn't actually physically touch the ovary. It's going very close to the ovary. Okay, speaking about the oogenesis, let's see. The oogenesis is the process of producing the oocyte, which we know is going to happen in the ovaries. Oogenesis actually begins before birth, accelerated at puberty, and ends at menopause. So this process has a long lifespan. If you want to compare with the spermatogenesis lifespan, so spermatogenesis has a longer lifespan because it never ends and continue during their lifespan. But oogenesis ends at menopause. So to complete the oogenesis, we actually need two types of cell division. We need mitosis and we need the meiosis. Why do we need mitosis? Because during the mitosis, we are going to increase the number of cells, and during the meiosis, we are going to decrease the chromosome number by half. So the cells which they're beginning the oogenesis are called oogonia. The oogonia are stem cells, means that they are able to divide through mitosis and then they become the primary oocyte. So from oogonia, we are going to make the primary oocyte. These cells are diploid cells, means that they have 46 chromosomes. So both oogonia and primary oocyte have 46 chromosomes. Then primary oocyte is going to start meiosis 1. And through meiosis 1, each primary oocyte is going to make two cells. Which one of these cells is called polar body and the other one is called secondary oocyte. What is the polar body? The polar body is a very tiny cell which actually it doesn't get the cytoplasm. So it's non-functional. And then it's just going to hold the half of the chromosome. And then it should be broken down. But the other one, which is the secondary oocyte, is actually getting much cytoplasm and then is going to continue the meiosis 2. So then, but meiosis 2, it can get completed just when it would be fertilized by a sperm cell. And guess what? If fertilization does not occur, the secondary oocyte never finishes meiosis 2 and dies shortly after being released from the ovary. Okay, let's review it one more time. So we know that the oogenesis starts before birth and also after puberty, it's going to be accelerated and it stops at menopause. What are the part that's happening before birth? So before birth, inside of the ovary, we have many oogonia. These stem cells divide by mitosis to increase their number, and then they become primary oocyte. Both of these cells, we said, these are diploid cells. They have 46 chromosomes. Then after puberty, each month a few primary oocytes continue meiosis 1. From one primary oocyte, we get one large secondary oocyte and one very, very small called the first polar body. And then the secondary oocyte is going to begin meiosis 2, and then it only complete meiosis 2 when it's fertilized by the sperm. So inside the ovary, you will see structures called ovarian follicles. An ovarian follicle consists of an oocyte plus a layer of supporting cells. So if I want to draw the ovarian follicle, I should draw the oocyte at first. So just imagine that is the oocyte. It has a nucleus. And then I'm going to draw a layer of supporting cells just around our oocyte. This structure is called ovarian follicle. At birth, each ovary contains about 2 million follicles, but many of them are lost naturally, and by puberty, only about 300,000 to 400,000 remain. Starting at puberty, under the influence of hormones, some of these follicles begin to grow during the ovarian cycle. So then this ovary is going to grow and make the primary follicle, then primary follicle grow more, make the secondary follicle grow more, and make the Graafian follicle or mature follicle. So they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and finally we are going to have the vesicular follicle. We're not going over the detail of this ovarian follicle. We just want you guys to understand or be familiar with this ovarian follicle and then what is going to happen during the ovarian cycle. So then ovarian cycle is ovarian cycle describes the changes that happen in the ovaries each month, from one menstruation to the next. The cycle is about 28 days in average, and it includes these three main phases. It begins with follicular phase. In the middle of the ovarian cycle, we have ovulation. And then the last phase would be luteal phase. The follicular phase would be the phase from day 1 to day 13, which, so look at this picture. As you can see, during the follicular phase, some of these follicles start growing. So primary follicles growing and make the secondary follicle, and secondary follicle grow more and make the Graafian follicle. Pay attention to the size of these follicles. They grow bigger and bigger and bigger from primary follicle to the Graafian follicle. That is going to happen during the follicular phase under influence of hormones like FSH hormone or follicle stimulating hormone. During the middle of the ovarian cycle, it means day 14, around day 14, a sudden surge of LH, the luteinizing hormone, is going to trigger the mature follicle to rupture and release the secondary oocyte. So then, as you can see here, we have the ovulation. So ovulation just means that when we are going to release the oocyte from this Graafian follicle. Then the oocyte would be swept into the uterine tube, where fertilization may or may not take place. So ovulation, as you can see, is the shortest is the stage or phase of the cycle, but it's a very important event. Then we are going to continue with the luteal phase, which would be from day 15 to day 28. So it would be after ovulation. And now we have a ruptured follicle inside of the ovary. So this leftover follicle transforms into the corpus luteum, which the corpus luteum is a temporary endocrine gland. So it acts like an endocrine gland. It's going to produce progesterone hormone. The progesterone hormone is actually sending the message to the uterus to prepare the uterus for the like the future embryo. So the luteal phase is always about 14 days, even if the overall cycle length changes. We have 14 days of the luteal phase. Okay, so we said the corpus luteum is a temporary structure. If pregnancy does not occur, the corpus luteum breaks down into the corpus albicans. As you can see here, that is the corpus albicans. Let me just show it with another color. So here we have the corpus albicans, which is a like white structure, like this scar tissue. So this corpus albicans is non-functional. It doesn't do anything, like it doesn't produce the hormones. So then as progesterone level drops, then the uterine lining begin to shed, which leads to start of the next menstrual cycle. But if pregnancy does occur, the embryo produces the HCG, the hormone that keeps the corpus luteum alive. So then progesterone remains high, and then we are going to like not have the another ovarian cycle, just the corpus luteum become bigger and bigger and bigger and kind of occupy the most part of the ovary. So then, as you can see, we divided the ovarian cycle to these three phases: follicular phase, ovulation, luteal phase. So from day 1 to 13 is follicular phase, first half of the ovarian cycle. The name of this phase is descriptive. Follicle is going to grow. We have follicle development under influence of the FSH hormone. And then the middle of the ovarian cycle, we have like releasing the oocyte from one ovary and then sending it to the uterine tube, which is called ovulation, happening around day 14. And then the rest would be the luteal phase, which at this phase, the remaining follicle becomes corpus luteum, secreting the progesterone hormone and kind of preparing the uterus for embryo implantation. But we said if the pregnancy does not happen, corpus luteum became corpus albicans. Thank you for your attention.